Hi friends, once again, Adriana Scorus here. Welcome everybody. My second greatest MLM star, who knows Don and Nancy since years, not saying centuries, but years, creator of technological updates of Don's Failla system. The warmest person on this planet I've met. Jeff Romualdi will share with you his greatest training, as usual, the third part of the training about the three most important things to do in MLM, working down with the groups. So welcome, Jeff, here, and the stage is yours.
All right, thank you, Adriana. And I want to thank each and every one of you for investing your time in being here today. The most important investment that we can make is the investment in ourselves. If we don't learn ourselves, then we can't help other people. And this business is all about relationships. It's all about helping people help people and building a culture of really, of incredibly bonded, important relationships. And if you can do that and you can combine it with a simple system that an 8-year-old can teach another 8-year-old, you cannot fail in this business, right? It's a very simple business. It doesn't necessarily mean it's easy, but it's very simple. And if you just stay consistent with what we're teaching you here and ask for help when you need it, every single one of you here will be able to build the business of their dreams, whatever that means to you. And not everybody gets into network marketing to make, $1 million a year. I mean, some people get in to make a couple $100 a year or a month, $500 a month, $1,000, whatever is meaningful for you, you can do it in this industry. And we'll help you do it. So I know you could be doing a lot of other things today. Life is very busy, right? Especially around this time of the year. But you showed up, and that tells me so much about you 15 people that are here. You are so far ahead of the pack. It's not even funny. You don't even realize it. All right. And I know I speak to a lot of you on a regular basis on Facebook Messenger and stuff, and it's a real honor to do that. Sometimes it takes me a day or two or maybe 3 to get back because it's a really busy time. That will get better in the future, but keep on firing the questions. Just know that I'm not picking on you if I don't get back to you right away. It's just been a crazy time, and you all know that, so I'll do that. Anyway, today, as Adriana mentioned, we're going to talk specifically about working in depth, okay, in your group. And obviously, you have to build a group to be able to work in depth, right? But all of you here are either have a group or you're going to build a group by learning what we're teaching you. So we're going to talk about specifically in depth today, but I do want to touch on all the key important parts of the system, because if I don't touch on the previous 5, then you won't understand really the 6, but I will be brief. And those of you who know me, it's I'm a little bit ADD, I guess. I was never diagnosed that way, but I tend to kind of go off in tangents a little bit. So I brought my notes here to keep me on track so I don't keep you people on longer than you want to be here, okay? I know Don's coming on at the 30-minute mark or something like that. I can hang around for about 10 or 15 minutes after that, but then I have another Zoom call at the bottom of that hour, so I have to go. But you always have access to me. So anyway, let's start off by talking about what the 3 most important subjects in network marketing are. The first most important subject is selecting the right people, okay? And, I could talk an hour on that, and I have, and there's a video, and if you want to watch it, just ask Adriana where it is and she'll make sure you get it. All right. But if I were to say, what's the most important thing about selecting the right people? It's looking for someone with a good track record. And what I mean by that is not necessarily that they even made a lot of money, in whatever they're doing. And I don't mean that they were in network marketing before either. What I mean is whatever they did it well. That's the key. Because, there's only basically 3 steps to the system, which I'll go over in a second. And anybody can learn that. But if you take someone with a good track record and whatever they did, whether it's a stay-at-home mom or on their job or whatever, they did it well, right? If you introduce them correctly to this business and the timing is right for them, if they get in, they can build an amazing business. I guarantee you, especially if they plug into our system. So selecting the right people, absolute key to the business. Track record, track record, track record. Enough said on that for now? All right, good. All right. The second most important subject, all right, is getting those key people, those people with a good track record, getting them started quickly and efficiently, okay? People, successful people in whatever they do, they tend to be a little impatient. You know, they want to get some points on the board. They want to get some wins in the win column. And if you sponsor them into your business, it doesn't matter how great of a track record they have or what wonderful people they are. If you don't help them get started quickly and efficiently, you're walking on thin ice. I always tell people you got about 7 to 14 days, something like that, in order to help them sponsor someone so that they don't start getting a little bit like edgy, that kind of thing. Now, you have some grace with that, obviously, if it's your best friend or your sister or your brother and they love you dearly. You might have a month or two, but I always look at the worst case scenario. You got about 2 weeks to help them sponsor someone because they may lose confidence in you, okay? And that's been tough for me lately with people that I sponsor, and that's why I haven't really been sponsoring many people, because I don't have much time to devote to them right now, and that's not fair to them. If you sponsor someone, your responsibility is to help them succeed, and if you can't do that, don't sponsor them, at least right now. All right, so that's the second of the top 3 things. But within that second, getting them started efficiently and effectively, there's three other things in there. And you've probably heard me before. I said there's about a half dozen things that make 95% of the difference. Well, there's 3 most important subjects, but again, within this one here, getting them started quickly and efficiently, there's 3 more. And that's the system. That's, Don Failla's Own Your Life system. So let me quickly give you the definition of the system for those of you who may not know it. All right. It's very simple. We talk to people about what they want. Or if you're shy or you can't talk, you can let them read the back of our lifestyle card to see if they want something. All right. And if they want, so that's step 1 of the Own Your Life system. Okay. Gotta want something, gotta have desire. All right. And if they want something, then obviously they have to understand the business. I mean, you wouldn't want a heart surgeon operating on you if they didn't understand heart surgery, right? They have to understand the business. So obvious, right? But hardly anybody ever does it this way. Most people do what? They go right to their vehicle, company, product, and marketing plan, start telling them about how much money they can make, how great the product, the services, and all that kind of. But see, when you start doing that, you're scaring away maybe 95% of the people, because they see that as trying to sell them something or trying to get them to sell something. And most people want nothing to do with traditional sales. Okay, so you don't want to do that. You want to educate them generically. That's step number 2 of Don's system. Okay, and you do that by simply having them go through the first 5 chapters of the Own Your Life book. We call that, now when they do that, we call that now they know how to drive the vehicle. Okay, and of course, if you know how to drive a vehicle, then the third step is you actually need a vehicle to drive, right? And that is your company, your products, and your marketing plan. And if you do it out of that order, the chances of you succeeding are not very high. Because again, 95% of the people want nothing to do with selling. And if they think that they have to go out there and persuade and convince and put on a great presentation, you are going to lose most people. But when they go through the first 5 chapters here, it completely changes their mindset. They learn it's not a selling business, it's a teaching, a sponsor, teach, and duplication business, completely different. All right. They learn all kinds of things. It's a 80-plus-year-old industry doing $200 billion a year in revenue, 20 times bigger than the National Football League. Most people don't know those things. And there's a lot of other things that they learn as they're going through here that completely changes their mindset. Okay. And now what happens when they go through the first 5 chapters is they're saying to themselves, you know what, I think I can do that. And when you have people saying, I think I can give someone a card or send someone a card to read through an app. I can, if I don't have to talk, the secret to the whole system really is to talk as little as possible. If I only have to send them the first 5 chapters of the book, I can do that, right? And then, of course, you know, if they're interested in learning more after they go through the first 5 chapters, you can just send them to your website or to a video or whatever's most appropriate for your particular company. All right. The secret to the system really, and it's for salespeople, this is really tough, is not to talk or talking as little as possible. Okay. So that's that. So the first 2 most important subjects, selecting the right people, getting them started efficiently and effectively. And within that, there's the 3 steps to the Own Your Life system. And then the third most important thing is working in depth. All right. Which we're going to cover a little bit deeper in this particular webinar. Okay, let me see if I missed anything there. And okay, I think I covered what I want to do there. So let's talk about working in depth, okay? There's probably not 1 in 50,000 people who are in network marketing who really understand, all right, the what we mean by working in depth and actually doing it the right way. And it's, you know, working in depth, it's a very simple thing to do, but it's also a very sophisticated thing to do. Okay. And I'll give you a little story. I told this story before. One of my great mentors in the past had a personal conversation with Rich DeVos, who was a co-founder of Amway years ago. Him and the other co-founder was Jay Van Andel. And the way that he was asking him, like, you know, how did you guys build Amway in the beginning? He said, well, we basically ran ads, you know, to do it. And Rich was the kind of like the guy who was out there recruiting people. Nasty word, but back in those days, that was the word that they used. And then when Rich recruited someone, Jay would come in on the back end and he would train them. Okay, and that's the way they did it. So my friend Bob asked Rich, you know, how many people did you recruit? And Rich said, that's a great question. Nobody ever asked me that. He said, probably about 500 people. And then the second part of that question that Bob asked him was, well, of those 500 people, how many actually built Amway? And Rich said 5 people. Okay, out of the 500 recruited, 5 people actually built Amway. One of the things you have to remember, there's only probably about 1 out of every 100 people who are self-starters in the world. All right. So think about it for a second. The way Amway actually built its business by using what? The law of averages, right? They didn't know how to you know, what questions to ask and what to look for back in those days. They just would talk to anybody that could fog a mirror. And the way they did it was that they recruited people through ads, and then they trained them, and they trained them up front, and then they prayed that they would do well. And they recruited 500, 5 of them built it. That's the law of averages. Now, the problem with that is, does that answer the question of whether you can build a business that way? Well, obviously you can, but how many of you out there are willing and able to recruit 500 people to find 5 who are going to build a business? Or how many people could do that? How many people have the skill to do that? You know, most people, 1 or 2 friends say no to them and they quit the business. They're out already. So, you know, so the probability of building a business by using the law and average and prayers is about 0. Can you see why this doing this the right way is so important to you? All right. So, you know, and even if you could go out there and recruit 500 people, it would take forever. You'd have so much heartache while you're doing it with all these network marketing funerals. I mean, it just goes on. You don't want to do it. So the question then becomes, what do you do? Well, what if you could go out there and sponsor 10 or 20 or maybe 30 people to find those 5? Do you think that would be a little bit more doable? Well, of course, especially if you didn't have to sell in the traditional sense to be able to do it. You know, every big moneymaker that I have ever known in network marketing, and you can ask this to anybody in network marketing who's been successful, they'll give you the same answer. They have made most of their money by building 1 to 5 legs, but building them deep. What are we talking about today? Working in depth. All the money is in depth. You know, it cracks me up. Some of these companies that, you know, give like, you know, in their first 2 levels, they're paying out 40%. It's like the first 1 or 2 or 3 levels that you're making money on in network marketing, that's pin money. You know, I tell people you can take that money and just give it away to children's charity or something. I mean, you have to go, you know, you have to build the first, second, and third level, but that's not where the money's at. The money is down deep, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But the question is, how do you build in depth? How do you do it? Most people, they never get beyond like the second or third level. Most people don't even get beyond the first level, if you want to be honest. Okay, so how do you do that? And not only how do you do that, but how can you guarantee yourself and the people that you bring in to be able to do that? Well, that's what I'm going to teach you in the rest of the webinar. Okay. And most of these people, by the way, that have developed these deep legs where they were making a lot of money, they did it the way that I just talked about how Amway did it. They generally were like salespeople. Usually they were very good salespeople. They were able to persuade and convince. A lot of them were able to get up on stage in $1,000 suits, right? Kind of the mesmerizing type of people, you know, and they did it long enough and consistently enough and with enough energy that they recruited 5, 6. I know a guy recruited 1,600 people, and he brags about it. I mean, it's laughable. If you're bragging about having to recruit all those people, you are scaring away everybody. Most people can never see themselves doing something like that. All right. So you don't want to sell in the traditional sense, or you were just basically sabotaging yourself in this industry. Okay. So those people that are making the big money, they just went out and they spent, you know, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 years to be able to do it. It's just not the way to go. There's too much heartbreak in it. And when you do it that way, another problem with it is most of those people were like talking about products and services. Let's just say maybe they're in a nutritional company, right? Now everybody that buys their nutritional products have to have a product experience. And if they don't have a product experience, then they won't talk to their friend. And then what if they do have a product experience, right? But their friend doesn't have a product experience. Then what do? They get stopped in their tracks. And most people don't have that perseverance to keep on going and recruit hundreds of people to be able to maybe find those 1 or 2 superstars that build it in spite of you doing it wrong. So it just doesn't work. Okay. But it's always the deep legs, folks, where the money is in network marketing. The first couple, 3 levels, you can give that money away. It's basically meaningless. All right. All right. So why not build them deep on purpose? Right? Makes sense. Instead of just subjecting yourself to luck. All right. And I'm going to, what you're looking for in network marketing, you're looking for 5 key people in 5 legs. All right. Now, if you are so you're looking for about 25 key people, 25 key people. All right. Maybe 5 of them you personally sponsored, and then you help them go out there and sponsor 5. 25 key people will set anyone free financially in network marketing. Okay. And I don't care what level they're on. All right. Well, obviously, you know, the 5 that you personally sponsored are on your first level, but I don't care if the other 20 are, you know, all within your first 3 or 4 or 5 levels, or all within your first 20 levels. If you find 25 key people with those characteristics that we're going to talk about in a minute, that qualify them as being key people, After that, network marketing just becomes a game. All right. It will, once you find those this 25 key people, all right, it's almost like to try to get your organization from exploding to in growth would be, an analogy would be like trying to put out a fire by sprinkling gasoline on it. You could not do it if you tried. So that's the key, folks. 5 key people and 5 legs. Now, some of you I know are maybe in a binary plan, right? So you're saying, well, what do I need to personally sponsor 5? Same concept, all right? If you're in a binary plan, then you're going to personally sponsor what, 2 people? And then you're going to work in depth until you get at least 23 more key people. You just work in depth. That's all. Same concept, all right? And if you have some sort of other pay plan, doesn't matter. 25 key people anywhere in your organization will set anybody free in 99.9% of the companies out there, okay? And it's a heck of a lot easier to go out there and personally sponsor 5 key people and help them find 5 than it is to go out there and persuade and convince 500 people to join your business and go through all that heartache. Trust me, I've been there. Before I understood network marketing in the first year, I recruited, note the word recruit, 114 people who all said they were going to build a business. And I wasn't duplicated in one spot after a year. And that's when I started looking around and found Don's system, and it changed everything for me. Everything, almost just like that. Within 3 months, turned my business completely around. I went from 114 people not doing anything to thousands of people, like 3,200 or something like that, in less than 2 years, like a year and a half, raving network marketing fans. And it was really because of Don's system. Okay. All right. So let me just read my notes here, make sure I'm on track. Okay. Alexa, stop. Forgive me. Alexa, stop. All right. So let's give a little visual here to show you how to build in depth. Okay. And I'm going to do it by using these lifestyle cards here. And each one of these lifestyle cards here, they stand for a human being, like someone in your downline. Okay. So what's the first thing that you need to know about sponsoring people so that you can work with the right kinds of people in depth, right? The first thing you need to know is what you're looking for. I mentioned it earlier, a person with a good track record of success, all right? Most important thing. Warm, open, easy to talk to. Someone who's coachable and can take some direction. Someone with good communication, good people skills. They don't have to be salespeople, but they have to be able to, have a sit down with someone over a cup of coffee, and or lunch, and when you leave that meeting, you walk away feeling, great about being with that person for that 30 minutes or an hour. Okay. People who have credibility and influence with their peers. I mean, people who are trusted and liked by their family and friends and other people. It's very easy for them people to say, hey, I'm doing something excited about, would you like to take a look? Very easy for them. And people who are industrious. All right. That's who you're looking for. And people with a track record of success, most of them have all those qualities. That's why if there was only, one thing, it'd be track record of success that you're looking at. Let's use Adriana as an example here, okay, to see how to do this right. All right. Let's just say this is me. I'm one person. I'm just starting my business. Okay. And let's say out of a 1 to 10 scale, 10 is like a Don Failla on network marketing. A 1 is someone who's brand new, doesn't know anything. Let's just say when I start out, I was a 5. I was a 1 actually, but let's just pretend that I was a 5. Okay. All right. So I'm a 5. All right. And what I did in the old days was, because I didn't understand network marketing, I went to one of my friends and to my brother-in-law, people that I thought that I could kind of buffalo and talk into something. Maybe they were a 4 in my mind. I was a 5, they were a 4. And I talked them into it. All right. And then what they did was they went to a 3 because they figured they could talk them into it, right? Because we thought it was sales back in those days. And then the 3 went to a 2, 2 went to a 1, that person went to a 0, and the whole organization just fell apart. And people were wondering why it didn't work. Well, let's do it the right way. Let's show you how to do it the right way. Let's just say that I'm a 5. What I want to do is I want to look for someone who's actually sharper than I am, maybe more motivated than I am, has a better track record of success than I do, has more credibility and influence with people than I do. All those things that I mentioned, that's who you want to go to. You want to sponsor up, not down, okay? And when you do that, like if I were to pick someone like that, all right, Adriana is a perfect example, okay? So if I did the right things and she went through the system and she got involved in my business, now there would be me and there would be Adriana. I'm a 5, she's a 6. She's smarter than I am. She's okay. Now, what do we want Adriana to do? Well, I want to help Adriana find someone that's sharper than me and maybe even sharper than her, which would be very difficult, by the way. Okay, but that's the model. That's what we're striving for here. Okay. All right. So if we do that correctly, Adriana and myself, with my help, will sponsor someone who's maybe what? A 7 on that scale, 1 to 10. Okay. And then I want to help Adriana help this person to sponsor someone that's even sharper than all of us, maybe an 8. Okay. When we do that, now the organization looks like this. All right. And then we're all going to, as a team, help this person sponsor a 9 or maybe a 10. Okay. Now, think about what we did right here. Okay. This whole business is built on, we'll call it equity, and not just money equity. Like, when I sponsored Adriana, for example, in this example, yes, if Adriana buys some products or whatever, I'm going to make a little bit of money. That is equity, but that's only one form of equity. All right, there's many different forms of equity. There's expectation equity. Okay, what is that? Well, as we're sponsoring these people and showing them a way that they can own their life, do you think we're creating high expectations with these people? Yes, we are. And expectation is a form of equity. Okay. Do you think, so expectation is one. Another one is, friendship equity. Do you think as we're working together to help everyone build a business where they can own their life, that you're developing bonded relationships as that is happening? Okay. Yeah, that's another form of equity. What about results equity? All right, as we're building down here, Adriana sponsors a friend who sponsors a friend. People are now this person's starting to earn some money, and this person starting to earn some money, and they're starting to see like, boy, these people here made these promises and they're actually living up to their promises. We're creating results. This thing is working. So, you're looking at, motivation, emotional equity, expectation equity, results equity. And this whole business, folks, is about relationships, bonded relationships with key people who have those attributes that I mentioned. Excuse me. Find that. Okay. Now, what do most people do in network marketing? Okay. Do they do it this way? All right. They don't even know. What most people do is they recruit someone and then they don't spend enough time with them. All right. And then when they do recruit them, they recruit them kind of like, they sell them into the business most of the time. Then they don't spend enough time with them. All right. And then they just pray that they make it. They invite them to the calls during the week and things like that. And they just hope that they show up. And if you're doing it that way, you're just being a little bit too naive. I mean, if you're doing it that way, you're putting yourself in that category of having to do what Amway did. And that's go out there and recruit hundreds of people to be able to find a few that are going to do it in spite of you. And it just doesn't work. A good visual is, here's the way most people, they recruit someone, don't spend enough time with them. That person gets 1 or 2 no's from their friends who they like and respect. And guess what? This is a person. We're pretending. I like pretend things. Okay. This person, they're gone. But what's a salesperson do? Right? They go, well, okay, they're gone. I'll just go out and recruit someone else. So they go out, recruit someone else, don't spend enough time with them. They're gone. And this goes on, and most people, because remember, 95% of people, they don't like rejection, they don't like sales. Most people don't even sponsor anybody, but for those who sponsor 1 or 2 or 3 people, if they end up quitting, sad part, they'll go out and they'll tell all their friends and families and stuff like that, that network marketing does not work. But guess what, folks? They were in a network marketing company, but they didn't do network marketing. They did sales, and sales and network marketing mix like oil and water. They don't. Okay. So most people, they're going out there and building horizontally. Recruit. Most people don't make it, and then they quit. But when you're building in depth with the right kinds of people, okay, and you're creating that equity, that money equity, that emotional equity, bonded relationships that are being created, expectation equity, results equity. When that's happening, go to Don's book, Napkin Presentation number 9, and read about working in depth. You know, because and another thing about working in depth is you always want to be like, what do most people do in network marketing, right? They sponsor somebody, like in this case, Adriana, and Adriana becomes, and maybe let's say Adriana and I were friends for years, okay? All right. And I'm comfortable with Adriana. I like Adriana a lot, and I spend all my time with Adriana instead of helping the people down here. All right. Are they going to feel neglected? Yes. All right. Obviously they are, because they came in with these expectations of success and nobody's paying attention to them. But it's not the right thing to do from building a business. Not, you know, the best thing I can do for Adriana, okay, once I get her started efficiently and effectively, and I help her sponsor 1 person, the best thing that I can do for Adriana is to be working with that person as much as I can, even more than Adriana. It's not that I'm going to not pay attention to Adriana anymore, but it's more important for me to have this person succeed, because this person is paying Adriana, who's going to pay me. Okay. You start seeing the reasons why you always want to be working at the bottom of your group, or at least as far down into your group as possible. All right. Okay. So again, then when we help this person here, Adriana and I help this person sponsor someone, what's the best thing that me and Adriana and this person can be doing? Helping this person, right? All right. And so on it goes. You always want to be working as far deep in your organization as possible, because when you find someone down here who is on fire, who's really kicking butt, and think about it, what's the probability of finding someone down here when you're on your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th, 15th level? Remember, all these, as we're going down here, because we're selecting key people that are even sharper than, you know, Adriana was sharper than me. This person maybe was sharper than her. When you get to 3, 4, 5 levels down in your organization, you have all these amazing people that were handpicked based on what? Track record of success, right? Credibility and influence with their peers. It gets so easy to work when you go 3, 4, 5 levels deep in key people. And another thing, like, you know, when you sponsor your friends or your family and stuff, like a lot of times that's like, it's emotionally demanding. It's like they kind of treat you like crap. Maybe not like crap, but you know what I mean? They've known you forever. They know all the goofy things you did in your life. They know the good things too, but they know everything about you. But when you're working down here with really sharp people that were handpicked the whole way down, I mean, when you go down and you're working on your 5th, 6th, 10th level, 15th level, it's amazing. They treat you like you're a king or a queen. It's like, oh my gosh, Dawn's coming down here to work with us. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, Alina's coming down here to work with us. You know, they're so welcoming because they're so appreciative of you dropping down there. You know, the master is down here engineering their success. It's so easy and simple to build when you're down here working. and it is so hard when you're up here. In network marketing, you're always working way harder than you want to in the early stages. Okay, that's just the way it is, because you're not getting paid very much, and you're taking my word for it if you're new in network marketing that this is going to work. You have high expectations, but you don't have quite that confidence yet to know you're going to be able to do it. You know, it's a lot harder in the beginning, but then once you get down in those lower levels, all right, where you have, you know, 525, 125, 625, you know, 3,125. It just starts taking on a life of its own. And it goes back to that, like once you go down 3-4 levels in quality people, you couldn't get that business to stop growing if you tried. It'd be like sprinkling gasoline on that fire. Okay. Or it just ignites. But most people, and you'll never understand truly the beauty of network marketing until you do that one time, until you see people down on those levels on fire, getting everybody excited above them, and that residual income starting to come in, that you're like going like, oh my gosh. So when you're down, when your organization gets beyond the 3rd or 4th level, it's just you're getting overpaid, and you can't even believe it. It's like, am I worth this company sending me this money? And yes, you are, because the company doesn't care who they send the money to, as long as you can help them, you know, move their products and services. And the way you do that is the way that I just explained it. Okay, it's working with key people in depth, and always working at the bottom of your group, or as far as you can. Now, there's a lot more that I could say about that, but we don't have the time to do that today. Let me just see here if there's anything else that I want to tell you about. Intro. And if once you understand like what I just taught right here, all right, when you are sponsoring people, if you can get, you know, I'm not going to get into this today, but I send people a homework assignment when I sponsor someone, and they fill this out and they send it back, and then we review it, and we pick maybe the top 3 people based on the relationship and timing to talk to first. If you can get someone that you sponsor to give you 2 decent people, all right, that have those criteria, if you don't go 20 levels deep in that group, it's your fault. Okay. Well, because if you know what to do with those 2 people that you sponsor who have those key attributes, that will lead you to the next, which will lead you to the next, which will lead you to the next, which will ultimately allow you to go 5, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 levels deep. Okay. So isn't that great to know that if you do this right, you can build it on purpose? You don't have to subject yourself to just chance. It's kind of like, you know, if you're playing a casino, if you're at the casinos, and you're at the slot machine, and you're breaking your arm off, pulling the slot lever, hoping to win, which we almost always, if you play long enough, you're going to lose, right? That's the only way the casinos can stay in business. All right. It's not like that if you're doing network marketing right. If you're doing network marketing right, it's like you're at the slot machine and there's no glass in the windows. And you just take your finger and you put it in the window and you pull down the 7 or the 10, okay? The 10 out of 10. You pull down the 10, then you pull down another 10, and then you pull down another 10. Works every single time. And how do you get there? By asking the right questions. Questions like, who do you know, Muriel, who is already doing well financially, making $100,000, $200,000, $400,000 a year, but is laying awake at night in their bed thinking about ways to double it? Who do you know like that? All right. If someone's successful like that, there's probably a pretty good reason why. They're the kind of people that you want to be talking to. They have a good track record, right? My favorite question: if you were to bet $10,000 a month of your own money on any 2 people that you know would be great at this, if they decided to do it, who would they be? And then stop talking. Okay, I want to know those people. I want to get to know. I want to be able to get introduced to those people if possible. And if not, and if I can be introduced to them, maybe the timing might not be right for those people to get involved in the business, but I want to create a relationship with that person. And I want to stay in touch with those people appropriately. Okay. So that when the timing is right for that person, all right, they go, you know what? I like Dawn. I like Adriana. I like Daniel, and the timing is right for me to take a look. Sometimes that might take 6 months, a year, 2 years, but they're the right kind of people. And if you stay in touch, I can promise you, I can make you a guarantee, you'll end up sponsoring 50% of those people. All right. And all you have to do is get those key people, and you have to stay in touch with them. And it also gives you hope. I mean, it doesn't matter if those people get into your business right away. We'd all love for them to get in our business right away, right? That's great, but it's not going to happen. I mean, what's the chances of just because they're the right kind of person that you contact them and they go, okay, yeah, I'm ready to join your business. Those people are usually very busy people. That's why you're talking to them. But life changes, as you well know, right? Like in 6 months, their business that they were highly successful with, they might go out of business. Or maybe they have a child or a grandchild, or their wife or husband who was making a really good income lost their job. Now they're not doing quite as well. Now where they weren't ready to listen to you before, they're ready to listen to you. There's a million different reasons why, if you ask the right questions and then stay in touch with those people, all right, you can't help but to be successful in this business. Remember, you only need 5 key people, and then you help them find 5. 25 key people anywhere in your organization is going to set you up for life financially in network marketing, especially if you understand how to invest the money that you're making. That's a whole nother subject, because you never know if your company is going to go out of business or not. I mean, some companies are around a long time, some are not. Okay. And I mean, I've known people that are making $250,000 a month, and they thought everything was great. And 2 months later, their company was out of business, and they were spending that money left and right, and they didn't have anything. Right. But if you can take, that's a, $250,000 a month is a big example. But if anybody that follows the system here and stays consistent and doesn't quit, all right, and is constantly focusing on asking the right questions and then working in depth, like we just talked about here, there's no one on this call right here that can't be making $10, $20, $30, $50,000 a month or more. And we talk about in 2 to 5 years. What if it takes you 7? Some people I've seen do it in 1. That depends. There's a lot of factors there. All right. But time's going to go by anyway, and network marketing, when you truly understand the business model, there's nothing else like it. But most people just don't understand it, including company owners and including a lot of these leaders that say they're making the big money. All right. They just don't understand it. It's crazy. But all right. So I think I'm pretty much done here. Let me see if yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say, because we're out of time. But just it doesn't. The last thing that I'll say about working in depth is, it's sort of like, picture in your mind the money, like I said, is all down here in depth. Okay. And it's like splitting a log. Okay. And I don't care what kind of wood the log is made out of. And it could be, the wood could be all knotted up. It could be pine. It could be sequoia. It could be walnut. It could be wet wood. It could be dry wood. It could be 30 inches in diameter, this log. It could be 30 feet in diameter. I don't care if you take a sledgehammer. In other words, you're the person who's down here engineering. The master is down here engineering, asking those right questions. Who do you know is staying up at night trying to figure out ways to double what they make? Who do you know? Who would you spend $10,000? The master is down here engineering those questions to find the right people. It's like taking a sledgehammer with a wedge, putting it on that log, and you just keep on whacking that wedge. And then you come over here and you whack that wedge with that sledgehammer, and you keep on asking the right questions, working in depth, staying consistent, teaching your people what you're learning here today. All right. I don't care how big the log is. you're going to split that log. And what I mean by splitting that log, that's when you split that log way down, that's where all the money is, folks. This is pin money up here, all right? Millions and millions of dollars is down here, and you get there by what I just taught you. If you're doing it this way, that's what's going to happen. You want to build in depth, create bonded relationships, get those people on calls like this so they can hear it. And think about it. Once you're down here, 125, 625, once you have all these people down here plugging into these calls, do you think you're going to be able to find 25 somewhere in your first 3, 4, 5 levels who are key people? You couldn't help but to do that. They'll pick themselves because you brought them in the right way, and you'll build the business ultimately of your dreams if you just stay focused like that. Okay. So I think that is it. Is Don in? There's Don. Hey, Don, how you doing?
I just came in about 2 minutes ago.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's great to see you. Thank you. And I'll wrap it up. I can stick around for about 10 more minutes. Yeah, we went a little bit longer there, which is
Okay.
typical. I am getting better at that though, but we'll open it up to questions now. So